defeat to Sheffield United for Leicester City on Saturday was alarming and continued to raise questions around the football club. 3-0 down at half-time for the second game running and a mass exodus at King Power Stadium. So on the show today, we'll pore over that result, the strategy at the club and the rising pressure on manager Marty Cifuentes. I'm Owen Palmer-Atkin, joined by former Foxes winger Matt Piper and Jake Watson from the big strong Leicester boys, and we're going to start by looking back on the 3-2 defeat against Sheffield United for Leicester on Saturday. And Pipes, really when you look at a performance, a result like that, it's hard to know where to start.
So you thought you'd throw it on my toes instead?
Yeah. 5-yard hospital pass, straight in.
Thanks for that, Owen. Well, I didn't... I've obviously watched the highlights of the game, but I wasn't at the game. I was in Dublin, actually. But I had the notifications on, and it was just shocking. You know, you try and have a nice pint of Guinness in Ireland. Talking to all my Irish mates like that, I was.
Never do that again.
I won't. And it was like 1 minute, 1-0. What? And I was with quite a few Leicester fans, actually. All staunch Leicester fans. So I was like, it's 1-0 already. And they were like, what? Oh, my God. And then 2-0 after 3-4 minutes. And then 3-0 before half-time. And you just thought, what the hell is going on? And, yeah, it's hard to know. You know, I've questioned the spirit and the fight and the desire of some of the players at times. And, you know, the manager has to, you know, take that as well. We've been talking down about the hierarchy for some time and whether that needs a restructure. And we heard a few weeks ago that was the plan. So, there's a lot wrong at the football club at the minute. And you know, when things are wrong higher up, it affects lower down and out on the football pitch. And we've all seemed, as fans especially, have seemed to be calling that out for some time now. And, you know, change hasn't happened. And it hasn't happened nowhere near quickly enough with all our fears that we thought. So nothing really shocks you anymore, even when you're in Dublin, having a pint with your Irish mates. Sorry, I did it again. And it goes 3-0 before half-time against the Sheffield United side that, yes, have picked up of late, but, you know, you wouldn't expect it to be 3-0 at the King Power at half-time.
Was it just compounding for you, everything that, you know, we've spoken about, not only this season, but in last season and the seasons gone by? Are you beginning to see the compounding effects of what all of that will lead to?
Yeah, I wouldn't even, me certainly wouldn't even categorise it as the last two seasons. I mean, they've been desperately poor. But when I'm talking about, and when you use the word compounding effect, I think lots of us have raised concerns about the football club and the direction that it's heading in from the leadership at the very top all the way through the club for a number of years now. And when those issues don't get addressed in real time, this is what happens. And that's your fear as a fan. And it's been many people's fear for a long time. And, you know, when those concerns aren't listened to or actions taken against them, you start to see these kind of results. And that's why in the summer, it wasn't just me, it was thousands of us saying, we could go again, especially with the points deduction. We could be back in those times of many years ago of where we fall through the Championship and out into League One. And that's why nothing shocks you at the minute with the football club and the state of affairs on the pitch.
Jake, how would you look back on Saturday, a couple of days on? And you say that with a grimacing smile on your face.
Well, no, it feels like I'm one of the few people in a unique position where I can actually tell you what happened at the game, because we did our podcast last night. Of the four of us, I was the only one who stayed beyond 30 minutes, and most of them had gone long before then. Yeah, where do you even start? And that's kind of the issue, isn't it? That it's just a catalogue of errors and issues that we've all been speaking about for such a long time. And it just feels like we bumble from kind of crossroads to crossroads, and it feels like we're at another one. And, as each one passes, we seem to make the wrong decisions. And, we may have a decision here regarding the manager that we really kind of don't want to have to make. But I'm sure we'll kind of then get into that in terms of then the looming decision of what's happening with the director of football. Because if that isn't going to be John Rudkin, then whoever decides to sack the manager, the person who's hiring the new one should be the new director of football. And so anyway, yeah, just so much to kind of work our way through. I mean, the performance was horrific, and then, to be honest, the 3-2 it flatters us, doesn't it? And it was almost frustrating in some ways to see some people being relatively positive on social media afterwards, because the scoreline obviously looked a lot close. But the reality of the fact is that Sheffield United aren't a great team, and when you're 3-0 up at half time, you've got one job, and that is to shut shop and contain. And look, they very nearly messed it up, but ultimately the game was won at half time, wasn't it? And the 3-2, if anything, made Marty and the performance look better than what it was.
You heard Pipes talking a few moments ago about the compounding effect really at Leicester City, but also how that could result in a Luton type scenario if it continues to go in this way. And you look at the difference between the points between the relegation zone and the playoffs, and second place for Leicester City, which is ideally where they would obviously want to be at this stage in the season. Actually, the gaps between those two places are tightening almost, really. Do you have that same fear that Pipes talked through?
Oh, absolutely. And I think everyone, they need to listen to Pipes and other people who are saying this. If you are looking at those playoff positions, you need a reality check really, really quickly. We have